Hi guys, welcome to our September monthly reset. I'm really excited. I love making these videos. We have a few things to do in this video. We're going to go through my July TBR. No, it's not July. We're going to go through my September TBR. We're going to do my August wrap up, my reading journal spreads as always, and we might do some crochet updates. I'm currently working on a crochet blanket that's been in a few of my videos recently, and I feel like it's going to be like a long project that's going to take a few months, so I thought it might be fun if I update you guys in my resets. I'm always trying to find new things to add to my resets, so yeah, let's just get into it. I'm a little out of it today. I'm not feeling the best, so sorry if that comes across. I feel like my brain isn't functioning properly. Well, I'm not functioning properly. I don't know. I also feel like I sound really weird today, and I don't know if that's a me thing or if I actually do sound weird. I don't know what's going on, but we're just gonna get into it. Oh, okay. I kind of feel like I'm in like jelly right now, like, you know. Anyways, yeah, let's get into my September TBR. Okay, let's get into my TBR. So I know I'm not going to read all of these books, but I want this to be my selection for the month. Some of the reading vlogs I'm planning for this month, well, actually one that's going to be kind of a big reading vlog. I don't have full control of what I'm going to read. It's kind of hard for me to like explain it without telling you guys what the video is. You'll understand once you see it, but I don't have full control, but I kind of do. It doesn't really make sense. I'm going to try to pick from these books this month. This is also just like a broad TBR hopefuls of what I'd like to read. These are like the books I want to choose from depending on what mood I'm in. I also felt like doing a big TBR for fun. I feel like putting together a TBR of books I want to try to get to is always fun. Some of these books have been on my TBR for a while and I just want to finally pick them up and read them. A lot of the books I've been reading lately I've like recently hoarded, and I'm like, stop. I need to read the books I already own, because it's getting to the point where some of the books I've had for like over a year and I don't feel like reading them anymore, but there's nothing wrong with them. I'm just like, I want new books. I need to like renew my excitement for them. At one time I was really excited to read these books, and now I'm not, because I have new books I want to read. But I'm like, girl, just pick up the old books you have. Like sometimes I'll pick up a book that's been on my TBR for a really long time and I'll end up loving it. So I'm like, girl, you have a perfectly fine selection of books. Let's read from them before you keep picking up new books. Anyways, that was like a long tangent I went on for no reason. But the first book I have is Perfume. I started this, I think not last month, the month before, and I only read like 5 pages. This is a classic. I've been wanting to read more classics this year. I have not read a single one, so I'm gonna try and make more progress in this book, but I keep forgetting about it because I'm reading books for videos and I'm trying to get through them, and I forget I have this book. When I want to break from like the books I'm reading in videos, I'll read like manga, and I just forget I have this, but I need to read it. So I'm gonna try and read more of it this month. We'll see how I go. This is one of the books I've had on my TBR for a long time. When I first picked it up, I really wanted to read it. I kind of forgot about it. I've always been like, oh, I want to read it, but just never pick it up. I think it was in my spring TBR last year, which it's now spring again. So let's pick this book up, shall we? But this is a Greek mythological retelling. I think it has romance, isn't it? I don't know the original story at all. I read The Song of Achilles maybe 2 years ago now, and I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 4 stars. I think where it fell off for me was towards the end. It kind of dragged on a bit, but I've also heard amazing things about this book. It's by the same author, Madeline Miller. I don't know, I just feel a calling to it. Like I feel like I'm gonna really enjoy it, and like I said, I really like Greek mythological retellings, and I do really need to pick up more literary fiction. I'm trying to pick up at least one book from that pile every month, and I'm like, you know what, let's go with this book. I've had it for so long and I just need to read it. If it ends up being one of my favorite books, I'm going to be so annoyed with myself for not picking it up sooner. But you read books when you're meant to read them, you know. Maybe if I picked this up earlier and I didn't like it as much, but I picked it up now and I loved it, things can change. I don't know. We have With You Forever by Chloe Leese. This is a part of the Bergman Brothers series. I've read a few books in the series out of order. I firstly read the second book, Always Only You. That's one of my favorite romance books. I always recommend that romance book. It is so underrated. It's so amazing. I love it. I love that book so much. I read If Only You next, which was the 6th one. That's also another favorite of mine. I then read the 5th one. Everything for You. I think I gave that a 4 stars. I didn't love it as much. Then I read the first one, Only When It's Us. I also didn't love that one as much. I read like my favorites from the series, and then I read ones I didn't like as much. And I think I have 3 other books from the series I need to read. I have this one, which is the 4th one. I need to read the 3rd one, which I don't own. I need to find that book. And also I recently got the 7th book, which is the last one in the series. It's kind of confusing how I'm reading them out of order, but I don't really care. But all of these books are so good for representation of people with chronic illnesses and mental health issues. I think every single character in these series struggles with either a chronic illness or a mental health issue, which I just love. It's also like such a big family. They all follow like a sibling, a Bergman sibling, which I love, and they're all like interconnected and friends and stuff. I think all of them are also sport romances. But there's something just so good about these books, and I really want another 5-star read from Chloe Lease, or like a high 4 stars, because she is one of my favorite authors, but I haven't had a book I love from her in a while. So I feel like this is going to be it. I don't know, there's something about this book that I feel like I'm going to love. It's a grumpy ex-sunshine romance. Our male main character is a painter. I love art. I love that. He is quieter. He doesn't speak a lot. I think he might have autism or undiagnosed autism or something along those lines. Rooney, our film main character, is very much bubbly, sunshiny. I think there might be marriage of convenience, because at the top it says first comes love crossed out, and then it says then comes marriage. I'm not completely sure, but I kind of want to go into it blind. I'm really excited for this book. I really miss reading a Chloe Lease book. We have Crown of Midnight. I really don't know if I'm going to actually pick up this book this month. I have so many mixed feelings about Sarah J Maas and her series. I read Throne of Glass, I think over a year ago now, and I liked it, but I didn't love it. It took me like a month to read that book, and I know a lot of people don't love that first book. I think I gave it a 4 stars, but I haven't really felt like continuing the series. I do eventually want to read the whole series. I know that because so many people talk so highly about the series, and I want to be included, but I really don't like Sarah J Maas as a person. She has just done a lot of controversial things that I personally don't agree with, and I struggle with separating the artist from the art, so it makes me not want to pick up her books. But I've also heard so many amazing things about this series that I want to be a part of it. But another thing is, I read ACOTAR, and I loved that series so, and I please and I loved that series so much, but after reading it, I heard some things about the author I didn't like, which made me not like the series as much. And there are some scenes looking back at the series that I really don't like, that make me uncomfortable. There's one scene in particular. I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to spoil anything. I don't want to make anyone else not love the series if they love it, but there's one scene in particular that makes me really uncomfortable thinking back on it. So like looking back, I don't love that series as much as I used to, and I'm afraid I'll end up loving this series, and then I'll look back at some things and like I'll lose my love for it. I don't know. I'm like thinking too much about the whole thing, but it's also such a long series that I'm like, do I really want to get into this whole thing? But I do. So anyways, I'm gonna see if I can try to pick this up this month. If it goes to a point where I'm just not picking it up, I think I'm just gonna give up on trying to read this series. We'll see. Next we have Travis by Mia Sheridan. Her series are really confusing to me. She wrote Archer's Voice, which is one of my favorite books. A lot of people love that book. It's so good. I highly recommend it. But I wanted to read other books in that like series, and she had 2 other books that were in that series, but I never really picked them up. I hadn't seen really anyone talk about them. But then this book came out recently, maybe a few months ago, and I think it's the 2nd book in the series. So I'm like, what happened to those other books? I don't know. I'm kind of confused. Anyways, so this follows Travis, who, if you've read Archer's Voice, you know he's very unlikable character. I hated him in that book, but I've seen a lot of people say this book is really good, and it gives him a really good redemption arc, and I just really want to be back in that world. I want to see Bree and Archer again. I love them. I miss them. This is also shorter. It's like 260 pages maybe. Oh, it's almost 300. But I feel like this will be a fast, easy read. I'm really intrigued to see Travis's redemption. especially as someone that really didn't like him. I'm intrigued to see how this is gonna go. But yeah, I think there's some other books that came out in this series as well, so I would like to continue this series and see if I love any other books by Mia Sheridan or if she's just like a one-hit wonder for me. Then we have Heartless, which has been in my TBR for the last like 5 months, so I'm not going to talk too much about it, but this is the second book in the Chestnut Springs series and I've really wanted to read it. I just haven't gotten a chance to. I've been like more drawn to other books in the past months when I've had this on my TBR, but I feel like it's finally the month I'm gonna pick this up. If I don't, I'm gonna actually be really mad at myself for not picking it up at this point, but I really want to pick it up. So fingers crossed I do and finally read it. And I feel like I've built it up so much at this point that I'm like, girl, sit your ass down and read this book. So I will. Then we have some other books that are on Kindle Unlimited. We have Not Another Vampire Story. This is on Kindle Unlimited. I saw it while I was browsing. I don't remember what it was about, but it really intrigued me. Also, the cover is gorgeous. I haven't seen anyone talk about it. I'm really trying to read more books that are more indie or I haven't seen people talk about. I feel like I'm reading too many books that are like BookTok hyped up books. Like I said, I don't remember what it's about, but I remember being really interested in it. I like going into books blind, so I'm just gonna probably just start it without really rereading the synopsis or anything. Then we have Foes to Flames. This is is it an anthology? I think it's like a bunch of short stories. The whole book is like 700 pages. I'm not going to try to read the whole book this month. I want to read the first story, which is by A.K. Kajino, who is one of my favorite authors. I recently finished her Villains and Virtues series, which I love, and this anthology is coming out really soon. It might already be out, but I really want to read the first story, which is by her, which I think is maybe 200 pages, and I might continue the anthology. I don't know. I think it's a lot of like indie authors, so I would like to explore these authors I've never read from before and try out their stories as well, especially since they're shorter stories. But it is my goal to read the first story. That is also on Kindle Unlimited. And then we have In the Company of Witches, which I'm going to try to listen to as an audiobook. I read my first audiobook kind of last month. I started this audiobook last year, didn't finish it, and then I picked it back up last month and finished it finally, which is the first audiobook I've ever finished. And I really liked having an audiobook to listen to, especially now since I'm going to school and I'm traveling, and sometimes I'm too tired to actually physically read, so I want to try to have more audiobooks in my rotation. I really struggle with them though, because a lot of them I don't like the voices. I'm very picky with them, but I started this one and I didn't mind it, and it's kind of popular at the moment, so I thought I'll try to read it this month. We'll see how I go. I have some manga series I also want to read. I'm not going to talk too much about them because I've just gone on so long about my TBR, but I want to continue the Love is War series, Snow White with the Red Hair. Those are the two main manga series I'm currently reading, and I would like to continue them, especially Love is War. And yeah, that's my TBR. Like I said, I'm not gonna read all of these books. I'm just gonna pick from them and hopefully try to stick to it. Let's do my September reading journal spread. We're gonna get into my reading journal spread. Let's just get into the montage, shall we? Hi guys, it is a few days later. I don't remember when I filmed those last clips. It has been a long week. I am still not feeling well, so I still feel like a bit loopy. I'm sorry if that comes across. I edited like some of the clips I filmed earlier and I feel like I was just very quiet. I still don't feel great, so sorry if that comes across. But anyways, I did my reading journal spread, as you guys saw. So let's talk about it, shall we? So I kind of just went with the flow with this one. I have these stickers I've had for quite a while actually, and I wanted to just make a spread with them. I didn't really have a plan for this month or anything, so I just went with it, I guess. I like how it turned out. It's not my favorite spread. I'm not a big fan of the colors, but it is pretty. It is pretty, but it's definitely not one of my favorites. This like bottle thing was in the sticker pack and I was like, wait, I could use this. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Anyways, and then I painted some paper like you saw for the title, and then I also made some flowers and leaves. We did my reading tracker, which this is a little off, so some of the dates are covered by the flowers, so I like moved them over. It's a little messy, it doesn't really matter, but yeah, that's basically it for the spread. And then we have my TBR / hopefuls for the month, and then the books read page. So I have never done this before where I've like printed out all the books on my TBR, but all of the covers are really pretty, and so I was like, why not this month just do it for fun. I saw maybe Katie's reading do it this month. I am always very much inspired by her reading journals and her spreads, and I was like, why not just put all the pictures here. Usually I don't do that because a lot of the time I don't stick to my TBR very well, and I also write down my TBR on the first thread, which I haven't done yet, but I felt like doing it, so I did. And then we have my books read page, which I did this a little differently from past months. Usually these spreads I leave very sparse and I just put like stickers, but I wasn't a big fan of how they were looking because I felt like it was just very empty, and so I just felt like doing more this month. And I'm gonna make the pictures for the books a lot smaller so I can fit a lot more books, but I'll show you like last month as an example. This is the spread. I feel like it's just really empty and there's not a lot going on, so I wanted to change that this month. So yeah, this is probably like my favorite page from this whole month. Yeah, that's basically it for my spread. We should get into my wrap up of August, I guess. I did not do a cottage wrap up this month. If you watched any of my previous resets, you know I do a cottage wrap up each month, but I did not do one this month, unfortunately. I just didn't feel like it, to be honest. I feel like I've been busy and I didn't really feel like making one, and I felt kind of the same with my September spread. I didn't really feel like doing it, but I did it. I don't know, I just didn't feel like it, so I didn't do one. And my reading journal at the moment is very much not up to date. Like I have some updates I need to do for my August spread and other things I need to catch up on. We can still go through like my stats for August. So I had a very simple TBR last month. Most of it was manga, so I had 8 books on my TBR. Out of the 8, I read 5, which is 62.5%. In August, I read 8 books. The total amount of pages I read was 2,334. My average rating of the month was a 3.8, which is not too bad. And then for the genres, I read 6 romance books, 1 fantasy, and 1 literary fiction. Okay, let's get into the books I read. So firstly, let's try and go in order. And like my previous wrap-ups, I'm gonna put the YouTube video I read these books in on screen so you can see my full thoughts, because I don't really like doing wrap-ups where I go into my full thoughts. I just go over my rating basically. So if you want to see my full thoughts, you can go check out those videos. But firstly, I read Bound and Tied, which I gave a 4.25. No, yeah, a 4.25. Really loved that book. That was the last book in the series. I'm so sad but so happy I got to read it. Then I read Love is War Volume 3. I don't think I read that in a reading book. Then I read The All Pair Affair, which I also read in the same reading vlog as Bound and Tied. I gave that a 3 stars. And then I read Final Offer, which I also read in the same reading vlog, which I gave a 4.5 stars. That is my favorite book of the month. It is like the highest rated of the month, so it makes sense that it's my favorite. Then I read Love is War Volume 4 and 5. I think that's in my Doing Book Stuff video, which is at like the very end. Then I read Volume 6 as well. And then I finished the Door to Door Bookseller, which I think I gave that a 3.5. It was a bit of a slow reading month. A lot of what I read was manga, but I still enjoyed a lot of the books I read. Like I said, I was very busy, so I didn't do a lot of reading, but I'm trying really hard to keep up with my reading this month. I felt like it took me a long time to get through books. Like I would spend over a week reading one book at a time. So we're gonna try and change that this month. We're gonna try and change that. I'm so excited for the books I'm planning to read this month. So hopefully this month is better. We did start this month with me being sick and staying in bed basically for the whole week, but hopefully things get better. I think they will, because I'm currently reading some books that I'm loving. So fingers crossed things go up from here. The last thing for this video is we're gonna do a crochet blanket update. My goal last month was to crochet 30 granny squares. Did I crochet 30 granny squares? No, I crocheted 10. That's okay. At the moment we have 2 rows. They are both 10 granny squares long, so I added 1 more row last month. I don't know if I should set a goal for this month. I haven't done my goals in my reading journal yet. Should I aim for 2 more rows? I'm not sure. Maybe, okay, we're gonna try and do 2 more rows. I feel like that's not too ambitious. I think I go on holidays this month. Do I? Maybe not. But this is my update so far. It's not a very big update, but I thought it'd be fun to like update it in my resets. Oh my god, there's something in my eye. Should I make a granny square scarf, guys? I like never ever wear scarves. It is also summer now, or spring. Whoa! Wait, this is kind of cute. This is kind of cute. Anyways, that is all for this video. I haven't filmed in like a week. I feel so delirious. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please let me know. Also, let me know your favorite book from last month. If you've read any of the books on my TBR, let me know your thoughts. I love hearing your guys' thoughts on the books I talk about in my videos. I love when my videos feel like a community and we can talk together in my comment section. I love that so much. I have a book Instagram and a book TikTok I post on quite frequently. If you want to see more from my life, more of my reading, you can check those out. I also have a Goodreads that's always linked down below. And I think that's all. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Bye!